Thank you all for being here. Today's PLC is going to be about data. So we're going to take a deep dive into data and go through some steps that's going to help us to get the biggest bang for our buck by seeing where our students are, not on our perception, but what the numbers say, okay? So that's what today's PLC will be based on. Hopefully, I can make this thing move on. Okay, so our goal as a school is to move all of our students from the bottom of the bottom, where we know most of them reside. And we already know that we have a challenge in our middle school where the students were in the below category on the Tennessee Ready. But we believe that we can make the impossible possible, and we think that we can do that by digging into our data. So let's just make sure we keep our goal before us. I'm going to just move through our norms, of course, as always, to be here and to assume positive intent. So ask questions, just be present, and assume that everything that is shared is meant to be positive. I don't have a clicker, so I'm turning my back to you guys. So the work that we're going to do is a data deep dive. And these are the steps that we're going to follow. Hopefully we have enough time to get through them all. The first step is we're going to become very familiar with Mastery Connect. That's the data platform that we'll be using. If you haven't ever dug into the reporting data, that's what we're really going to get a chance to do today. We're going to determine what the data says and choose standards that are applicable to what the data said the deficits are. We're going to unpack the standard in a way, thank you. We're going to unpack the standard in a way to where it makes the most sense and gives us the most information as to where we need to move our student. We're going to select an exemplar, and today the exemplar that I'm using is one of the practice tests that we use for Tennessee Ready. It'll make sense as we move forward. We're going to identify the gaps that we see and make a gap statement. We want to be very intentional about stating what the gap is, what we see that's causing our students not to master the standard, and we want to make a very detailed corrective instructional plan that's going to address the specific need that the data reveals. Okay. And so now let's just get ready to navigate the data platform. And the platform we're using is Mastery Connect. So go ahead on and log into Mastery Connect. Okay, so everybody should be at the home screen of Mastery Connect. Got there? And you should have your benchmark pulled up where you can see both of your ELA classes. And just go ahead on and click on one of the tests. This was the test right here. So just go ahead on and click on, I'm going to choose my 401 class and click on it.
So make sure you're doing that from your home screen.
From the home screen. So everybody there, you want to click on the test right here. Oh. All right, so I'm going to stop there. Okay, and so from this particular page, we want to click on reports because this is where we're going to get the data from. So go ahead on and click on reports. What you should see should look something like this. It should be like automatically go to the, you'll see a lot of questions and you can see how your students did. You want to be able to see all of your students. So right here where it says view options, use the drop down and click on my trackers. Doing that will allow you to see all the students. Okay. So as you can see, I can take a look. The red means that those were incorrect answers, and the green means that these were correct answers. So if I kind of just like peruse through my data, I kind of want to see which questions just stuck out to me where there was a really, really big gap. So for instance, question number 1, of the 24 students who took the test, 20 of them got this question wrong and 4 got it right. So that sticks out to me. So if you would now, I'll just do another before we do this. And so I'm just gonna kind of peruse down a little bit further. And then question number 11 kind of sticks out. 22 got it wrong, only 2 got it right. So if you would do this now, just kind of look through your questions and make a note of those question numbers that stick out to you, where there was a lot of disparity between what students were marked incorrect and correct. So let's kind of do that now. And I have some down on mine, and I'm going to give you all a few minutes to go through yours. Okay, so was everybody kind of able to pick out those questions that had like an overwhelming disparity? All right, the next thing I want you to do is on those numbers, record what standard those numbers were testing. So for me, question number 11, that will be, RL3. Okay, so let's kind of share out what some of the standards that we see, and were any of them repetitive. Can you all share out what some of the standards were to the questions that you saw an overwhelming gap between? What were some of the standard numbers?
The majority of mine were like the grammar standard.
It was anything in particular?
But I have to go in and look.
Okay, pull it up for me if you don't mind, so that we can know.
Like I got like 4 of them are no with the grammar, and then RI. Well, that's the repeated one that I have is the grammar.
Okay, any other
So
one?
the language standard.
The language standard, and which one?
And then I got an RI2.
RI2 and a language standard.
RL2. This the reading one.
RL2.
RI2 and RL2.
Okay, so can you pull up the language standard while we hear from Ms. Brown? And what did you have what were some of the standards that you saw that were kind of like overwhelming?
Some that were overwhelming was the reading the language, which is our RL.2, 5 RL.2.
So that would be
5.2. That's a literature standard.
Literature. And 5.5 literature again. That one, they got a lot of those incorrect.
Okay, so it's interesting to me that out of the standard that you did pull, they had an overwhelming gap. Then both 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade had an overwhelming gap on the RL.2 standard. I did too.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of noticing that I have.
And I think when we looked at the 7th grade data, it came out in 7th grade too.
That's
That's
the 7th grade standard also. That was one that we kind of did together as a leadership team, and it also was an RL.2. All right. So from here, I want you all to go back. Now we are on item analysis right now. So those are the item analysis. But I want you to click on the tab that says student mastery right here. I'll just click right
I'm
here.
just about to make her click my tracker.
Yeah,
so
click my tracker and then student mastery. Okay. And you can see now all of the standards that were tested. And you can see how the students actually did. So you can use the key. Of course, we know the blue means they mastered the green, on track, yellow approaching, and red below. And actually, if you hover over it, yeah, it does. If you got to kind of click on it, it'll tell you the number of students it was and what percentage of your class that is. So you even get a little bit more specific. The visual helps us a lot, but sometimes the numbers speak volumes as well.
So looking at yours, what standard sticks out based on those bars? Because if we're looking at this example up here, we can readily see that the 4 RLKID2
sticks out.
sticks out. So looking at your data, which standards right now just kind of jump out?
They 1 and 2.
But 4.
Yeah, maybe these two.
That one's second.
This
and then these two back close.
Which one is it? I looked at
Right. But look at the difference between this. What's the difference between this and this though? Right. So this one is still like for some reason they either know it don't know it. But look here, here, and here. So write those down, and then we're gonna move to the next step.
And then
so right now from next grade, Ms. Brown, write down which standards kind of stick out.
So when you're making decisions, you want to kind of take a look at those power standards and those things that are highly tested. So when I'm talking about looking at data and getting the best bang for my buck and what I need to attack first, let this kind of be your guide in conjunction with the data that you just pulled. So for you, Ms. Brown, you already kind of pulled that you was having an issue with that 0.2 standard and with that 4 standard. So you see that these are power standards that have been kind of proven over the last couple of years that they are highly tested standards. So those will be standards that you really want to kill, as opposed to the whole list of standards that you put looking at the data. So do you see how we kind of narrowed it down to what we're using to do that?
The other thing to remember is like that KID2. Remember, it's going to be kind of foundational because the children going to need that like in their writing, on their writing piece. So you thinking holistically how important that standard is going to be, as opposed like when she says when you're trying to balance, well, I got 4, how do I decide how to get down to 1 or 2? So thinking about long term, that one is going to be so much more impactful. So like writing, so because they're gonna have to do that stand almost in every question.
So now it's time for us to really truly unpack the standard based off the language of the standard. Okay, and this is our known. We kind of got practice doing that during our PD on one of our last half days that we when we work with our zone coaches on actually doing the know and show and unpacking the standard. We want to identify the highest level of standard. Look at the TCAP assessment, and that's what we have here for a model. Try what the students would have to know to master it and write specifically what we want the students to be able to do. So I just have a sample, and y'all know practice tests we can find them anywhere, but we're gonna pull up that RF 4.2 stands out. For that RF 0.2, it says determine the theme of the story, drama, or form from details in the text and summarize the text. So another thing that you will want to do is, on your assessment that the district gave, pull up those questions from this standard and look and see what it was that the question was asking students to do. So let's do that now. For me and you, it might be 2, or you might want to use your 4. Since I can do the 2, and that way we'll have a 2. So once you do your 4, and then you do your language standard. So look at the language, look at the question and ask, see what it is that the question was asking the student to do. What did they need to be able to do in the questions that we picked?
Determine a theme or central idea of a story, drama, or poem and explain how it is conveyed through details in the text. Summarize the text. That's the actual wording of that standard.
Okay, let me go back to mine.
Which choice provides a summary of the passage? Okay, so then they needed to be able to know what were the important points in the story that would need to be included, which means they needed to know what the main point was, and they needed to know which details supported their main point. Because if they couldn't do that, then they wouldn't be able to know what they needed to include in the summary.
Right, so basically they need to know the structure of the summary.
They needed to know what of the structure of a summary. What did a summary include? They need to know what that means. Mm-hmm.
So although we haven't gotten any questions, they could very well have questions on summarizing on the text.
Right.
But if we're not exposed, like we're doing a really good job in helping the students identify themes and the details that connected it. But what we may not be doing enough of is summarizing. And then they could get questions because summarizing is still a part of that standard.